An attribute of the bloodliners and witches at the higher levels is sexual perversion because they are demonically influenced to go against God. Commenters mentioned the Rocky Horror Show, which is a musical involving a transgender back in the 70s. My research indicates this garbage was intentionally made to push out the transgender agenda, create a cult following, and cast a spell on society like most demonic theater is. Because now, look at where we are with children being mutilated, and they are capable of using the same methods to affect people that aren't as emotionally and spiritually weak as those who mutilate their children on these demonic suggestions. An example is the entire world that went under the crown virus spell. I will cover where this garbage originated and how it progressed in this video. But first, I want to cover a related comment from a good friend related to this subject in the Queens of Heaven. She said, "I've always said that Satan in true form looks like the Doc from Rocky Horror. Satan wants people to call him as a she because that's the opposite of what the Bible states. Angels were not created to have sex, but they are referred to as sons. Satan created many personas and the names that are attached to the first women that mated with his minions, who were also the very first witches. The scriptures clearly differentiate the pagan goddess Diana and the night hag Lilith from the male devil who fell from heaven. The Kabbalah texts are the ones that teach a female devil, who they claim was the first created angel. This is not scriptural, but the origin of the name of this female energy called Shekinah. This goes back to Cain's wives, who were given the name Queens of Heaven because they birthed demonic hybrids. Satan gave them a special title, just like the bloodliners do. Satan, who was once called Lucifer, hates real women because they are birthing children made in our Heavenly Father's image. We don't call Satan by his wannabe feminine name Isis and Ishtar, etc. These are names of his daughters who became vessels for demons. People are getting confused calling Satan a woman. False religions are the mother of harlots who support modern-day Babylonian rituals, still linked to ancient immoral ideology of the Queens of Heaven or witches who are married to their husband Lucifer the devil. That Doc from the film was creating hybrids in a lab on a slab through science. He was a man pretending to be a woman to birth monsters." End comment. And I did not realize that about the origins of the Queen of Heaven, but it does make a lot of sense. So considering this comment, this horror show goes deeper than just pushing the transgender agenda. It also gets into the inversion principle, physical and spiritual alchemy with the Frankenstein-type creation, and of course it would, because those things are all linked to witchcraft. And now, 50 years later, children are being satanically mutilated, which is not an organic movement. It's under witchcraft and suggestion, and that has been historically linked to theater and opera. Greek theater culture goes back to Athens 700 BC, very significant culturally, politically, and religiously, with festivals honoring Dionysus. Then it carried on with opera, and then you have the Shakespearean theater, then film, which Sir James Frazer, Knight of the Crown, in his book The Golden Bough, said shadows on the screen would have a significant effect on culture, a religious effect. And that was right when silent movies were first coming out in the late 1800s. And Rocky Horror is a sort of opera. It's a musical and a perfect example of this type of spell. In the opera, you have castratos, which are castrated young males, done so their voice wouldn't change and they could sing at a certain frequency. But it's also part of their religion. This was also used by several satanic priest classes, such as the Scythians, historically. And a lot of people theorize about modern singers that are male to female also. So in 2024, 48 years after its premiere, this is the longest running theatrical release in film history. In 2005, it was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress as being culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant. Today, the film has a large international cult following and has been considered by many as one of the greatest musical films of all time. Live amateur shadow casts act out the film as it's being shown and heavily draw upon a tradition of audience participation. So what that's saying is they have people stationed in the audience to encourage audience participation. So that part's not organic and never was. Because David Bowie and his wife were the first ones to encourage the audience participation at the Waverly Theater in Greenwich Village in New York in 1976. The film is shown close to Halloween, typically, nowadays. Originally, it was a theater musical, and this is a poster from that, and it's got this thing in his forehead in the front and the middle, and it looks like something that's faintly there in the pineal gland area, you see. The original production of the musical was premiered at the Royal Court Theatre in June of 1973. And that theater show ran for almost 3,000 theatrical performances, which is a lot. And if it was once a day, that would be for 10 years. The music and lyrics were written by Richard O'Brien, and he was also a member of the cast. Richard O'Brien is a British actor, writer, musician, now in his 80s, and identifies as a third-gender androgynous. One of the cast members was British actress Patricia Quinn. She's the one with the curly hair on the right here, who played Megan, also in The Lords of Salem. And she was married to Sir Richard Stevens before he died, and he was a leading English actor in England's Royal National Theatre. So that's her on the right. So the story centers around a young engaged couple whose car breaks down in the rain near a castle, where they search for help, and the castle is occupied by strange people, with the head of the household being Dr. Frank Infurter, a mad scientist who creates a living muscle man named Rocky. Frank seduces the couple, and it is finally revealed that he's actually an alien transvestite from the planet Transsexual in the galaxy of Transylvania. And this is him, Tim Curry. He's a British actor and singer who was close friends with Knight of the Crown Freddie Mercury. He was in the movie Legend, Dragon Age, Pennywise, The Worst Witch, Captain Hook, and Peter Pan, Star Wars. He was also a theater actor, and he played King Arthur in Spamalot. So this Doc character doesn't just look like a tranny, he's also clownish like a lot of them are made to look, which is a Nephilim trait. And the play and movie are characterized as comedies, so it's a type of clown, jester, demon crap. The film was shot in the UK at Bray Studios and on location in an old country estate named Oakley Court, a Victorian Gothic mansion built in 1895 and currently operated as a luxury hotel. The characters' makeup designs were created by Pierre Laroche, who was also a makeup artist for Mick Jagger, and creating the signature four-head lightning bolt design on David Bowie's Ziggy Stardust character. Thanks for listening.